Okay, Steve Burns back here again. So I'm going to do a short little tutorial based on what I think you're asking about. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and create a cylinder. Let's go to my Shift A, go to Mesh, and let's go to the cylinder. Okay, and I'm going to give it a few less points. I got 32 here. Let's go to 16. All right, I think that's going to work just fine. Okay. Now, just to be safe, I'm going to hit Command A, so apply rotation and scale. And I'm going to go in there and select the edges that I think is what you were trying to do. So if I go to my Tab key, go to Edit Mode. All right. I'm going to select every other face here. Okay. So if I go to number 3 key and select one face, skip the next one, select the next face, I can do the step and repeat technique, right? Where I can tell it to select every other one. So that's control or control or command and shift held down together and plus. And it will keep going. I'm going to go here to X-ray mode so you can see what I'm doing. All right. And it will keep going around. So I'll do it again so you can see what I'm doing. Select this face here, skip the next one, select that face there. So shift and control or shift and command, and then boom, 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 hit the plus key until every other one is selected. There we go. All right. So those are the faces. Now what you want are the edges. And I should have shown you this way earlier, but a faster way to do this is once you select those faces, hit the number 2 key so that it selects the edges. It automatically will select the edges. Okay. Now from here, you're simply going to hit Shift D, right? So all you're doing is targeting the edges, putting it on its own layer. Then hit the P key to put those on their own layer. Okay. So there it is. Now let's go to my object mode so we can select only the edges. So I'm going to come over here and turn off. Let's see, I want to make sure I turn off the right thing. There we go. There are my edges right there, the faces. It looks like it also targeted the faces as well, but it doesn't matter. So I'm going to go in here and target these here. Go into edit mode. All right, let's see. Did it also select the faces as well? It did. Okay, no big deal. So hit A key, select all the faces, and simply all you're going to do is hit the X key and delete only the faces, kind of dead center. Only the faces, and that just leaves you the edge. There you go. Okay. Now, let's just go back and set this up for instancing. So go back to object mode, right? Now, all instancing is really very simple. All it is have Blender tell that object to be an instancing object, and whatever is parented to it, that is the thing it's going to instance. It's that simple. You have to make sure that that object that you're going to instance with this is going to be dead center. So there's my orientation in dead center, which happens to be the world orientation, and that is where my 3D cursor is. So whatever the orientation lies for the object that you want to be your the parent for your instancing object, just make sure that the 3D cursor is placed there. If it's not, it's Shift S and cursor to select it. Okay, so you make sure you select the object that's going to be that you're going to instance to, and then to make it easier, right click, set the origin to the geometry. All right, and then once that's there, Shift S, cursor to select it. So the 3D cursor is dead center. Why? Because whatever is going to be placed in here next will be always be placed where that 3D cursor is. So if I come over to Shift A, go to get another mesh, and we're going to go get the UV sphere. That's going to be a rivet. Okay. So UV sphere, boom, is really big. I want it small. S key, and just make it really small. It's centered. It's exactly where I want it to be. I'm going to make it about that big to make it easy for us to see. So at this point, go ahead and parent this to your object. So select a small object, shift and select your big object, right? All right, which is your edges here, and then that's going to be it's gonna parent those rivets. Now another way to do this, I'm gonna look over here to the right hand side. I'm gonna call this rivet. I want to rename it so make it really easy for us here. So rivet, okay, and then call, instead of cylinder, call them edges. Okay, cool. Now we can parent the rivet to the edges. If I hold the shift key and drag the rivet on top of the edges and release, now it's parented to it. Automatically parented right there. So the rivet goes away, but it's inside the edges. All right, that's a fast way of parenting objects. Now all you need to do is this: just come right into here, grab that object, come over here to the object properties. That's the orange rectangular symbol. And then all you're going to do is go to instancing, and by default, instancing will say none, right? So nothing's happening. So if I select vertices, boom, there it is. That's all instancing is. Whatever object is parented to the main object, whatever object is parented to the main subject, that object that's parented to it will be instanced on every vertice. If I go to faces, nothing happens because there are no faces. We deleted them, right? So we want vertices. Okay, so we want to add more of these in there. All right, I want to add more of these points in here. I want to control where these points go. So come in here, go to the object, right? Go to edit mode. We're gonna hit the number 2 key for the edge selection. Hit number 1 to go to face, and I'm going to just select all those edges just like this, right? So all my edges are selected, and now we're going to subdivide them all at one time. Right click, subdivide, and then come right down here and see they're all happening at one time. It saves you a lot of time. So there are your rivets. So I don't know how many you want, but I'll add a little more in there so it's more like this. What I was seeing on yours was a whole bunch of rivets, which told me that you had a whole bunch of points in there somehow. I'm not quite sure how that happened. But there they are. So if I go back to object mode, there you have it. All right, so if you want to add more points to the top edges, just go to your side view, hit the number 1 key on your keyboard, your side view, and I'm going to go to my rectangular. Right up here is my rectangular selection option. It's in painting mode now, so I'm going to go to the rectangular selection mode and just grab all those edges there. So I want to be in edit mode. I forgot to do that. So select the object, tab key, edit mode. Now we'll select just that, and shift key and select the bottom right there. So if we turn it to 3D perspective, all those edges are selected. Now we can subdivide that probably twice. I don't need a whole lot there. Right click, subdivide, there you go. So I might want to add one more there. Okay, there you go. So that's how you can control those points and edges. Now, if I go back up here to my layers or my collections here, I can turn on the actual, let me see, I'll go back up here, come back, yeah, that's something else, but I'm going to go back here, turn that on, right? And I'm going to turn off the x-ray view, and there you have your rivets all along the sides, exactly to where you want to put them. All right, so hopefully that helps. So once again, I'm going to do it just a little quicker this time. I'm going to take my 3D cursor and I'm going to move it off to the side. I will do that with a shift right click. That's a shortcut for moving your 3D cursor around. This time I'm going to add, let's add something else. Let's go in here, shift A. Now we're in edit mode still. We got to get out of there. So tab key, object mode. Okay. Now shift A. Let's get a different type of. Let's get a cone. All right, there we go. I think that's going to work. And now we're going to. I want to make sure that the orientation point for the cone is correct. So select it, right click, or we're going to origin to geometry. Okay, looks good. Okay, and let's bring that on down. There we go. So there's my origin point. We're going to add a rivet into there. So Shift A, add a rivet as a separate layer. And that's important. I'll do an isosphere this time. So select it like this, right? We'll do an isosphere. It doesn't matter what it is. And S, bring it down. Let's turn on the X-ray view so we can see through this. It placed the isosphere exactly in the center of our object. Add the S key, bring it down like that, all right? Okay, next we're just going to take the isosphere and bring it in with the cone, all right? So the cone's at the top here. Isosphere is in the bottom. So Shift, click and hold on the isosphere, drag it on top of the cone. So the cone is now highlighted with a dark gray, and release. Now your isosphere is inside your cone as a child of the cone. Once done, that's all you need to do. Once it's a child of the cone, select the cone itself, come over here to the object properties. That's what this orange square symbol is. It's just, you know, your properties for any 3D object. And under the instancing options, under the instancing menu, instead of none, say go to vertices, see? Or go to faces, right? So now that we have faces in this one, it sees the faces. We deleted the faces in the other one, so now we're going to go back to vertices, which is what we want, okay? If, however, you want more points along these edges, well, let's hit the number 2 key to select the edges. Select all these edges like so. Right click and subdivide, right? I'm going to find my subdivide here. Now, of course, right click, subdivide, see? Right down here's my subdivision properties menu. If I want more, click and hold and drag it, see? All right, you see that? Now, however, if you want them on faces instead of on the vertices, let me go ahead and turn off the X-ray view. We simply click on the faces, and now they are on the faces. Okay? All right, so hopefully that is making sense. Don't overcomplicate this. Just parent your object. Parent your rivet to your object. Once it's parented, all you do is come over here and under the instancing tab, under your object properties, click on vertices or faces. That's all you need to do. All right, that's it. This is good. This is a good question. It's great that you're asking questions. I'm always happy to do these little videos. They're a lot of fun to do. And so hopefully this helps you out. Okay, Steve Burns signing off here.